One day, Max Platz, head of the business development team, comes to your office. The Cloud Widget project has been very successful and sales are up. They just had a strategy meeting and the decision has been made to expand the business overseas. We're going to need a presence in Europe, as soon we will be setting up an office in the UK. But first we want to establish our brand over there. Max asks, is it possible to get our employees here to send and receive email from an address that looks like it's in the United Kingdom? Sure, that shouldn't be too hard. Just means we need to play around with our domain and web addresses a bit. When we signed up for G Suite, we needed an internet domain name. Since we already owned the domain name cloudsola.com when the company was started, we decided to use this. It's the brand familiar to our customers, so having our email and Google services tied to it worked well. Also, we knew that our users would sign in at this domain every day for work, so we wanted it to be a domain that best represented the company. Now that wasn't a trivial decision. You see, the domain name we signed up with first is special. It's called our primary domain, and only one of these can be defined within a G Suite account, and you can't change the name later without migrating to a new account. Max says, oh, okay, I get it. Our domain is like our web address, and our primary domain is the first and most important one we chose. Got it. So, how do we go about getting a new domain for our UK brand? First, we need to purchase a new domain name for our UK branding. We should go back to the same service where we bought the domain name cloudsola.com, so it will be easier to manage when accessing our DNS records. Max says, wait, didn't Google give us that web address? No, we bought the domain from one of Google's partners, a domain registrar and hosting company like GoDaddy.com or enom.com. They're a company that sells domain names that aren't yet owned and are available for registration. They look after the domain hosting and DNS records for us. When using G Suite, we sometimes need to modify our DNS settings to set up various tools and services. We do this by changing various types of DNS records. We change our domain's MX records, for example, to direct email for our G Suite domain to Google's mail servers. We manage DNS records through our account at the domain host company, not our Google admin console. We will need to do this when we set up the UK brand. Max says, all right, so what's next? Well, what do you want the UK brand domain name to be? How about cloudsola.co.uk? I've checked and it's available. Max says, perfect, let's go with that. Okay, now that I bought this domain name, we can go back to G Suite and set this up as a domain alias. Up until now, things have been simple. We only had one domain, our primary domain. Now we want to have multiple domain names where we do business. The good news is we can add more domains to our G Suite account at no extra cost. We manage them from the same admin console and support all our brands from one Google account. Our users can even have an identity at one or more of our domains. Depending on our needs, we can add the new domains as a separate domain or domain alias. However, it's important to be aware that when using multiple domains, there are some limitations and restrictions. You can learn more about these by looking at the Help Center resources provided. We've just bought a domain for our new UK brand, and our users need the option of sending mail with an email address at the new UK domain. We can do that by adding it as a domain alias to our primary domain. The following lessons will take you through setting up a domain alias in the G Suite admin console. Along with going through the in-product trainings, ensure that you check out all of the Help Center resources that are linked to learn more about managing your domain.